Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Tuesday tip, where in this video I'm going to be talking about the approach that you should take in figuring out which complete BMX bike is right for you. And I'm assuming if you found this video, you've already decided that you want to buy a complete BMX bike. And there's a couple different things you should consider in this process so that you make sure that you end up with the right bike and don't have to end up buying twice. So the first thing that I would say you want to figure out in this entire process is your budget. You need to know how much you're actually willing to spend, because that's going to dictate pretty much everything to do with the bike. And you'll know that when you go into the local bike shop, or you go on the mail order website, or you go directly to the company's website to buy a bike, you'll know what you're getting into and how much you're willing to spend. Another thing to factor into your budget considerations is actually where you're at in your BMX journey. If you or the person that you're buying a complete bike for is brand new to BMX, has never ridden before, and is, like 12 to 14 years old, you may be able to get away with a lower level bike at first, just to see if this person is even going to stick with BMX, because these lower level bikes can handle the very basic beginner level tricks, but if you're putting, a higher advanced level rider on one of these bikes who's a full grown adult, it'll last for a while, but it's not going to last very long. But like I said, if you're younger and you're just getting into BMX for the first time, you may be able to get away with this. But the other thing that you should think about is the longevity of that. If you plan to stay in BMX and you plan to ride for years and years to come, then it's probably more worth it to save a little bit more and buy a better bike than to buy that budget level, like low level complete BMX bike. So it's things that you should think about and consider whenever you're thinking about your budget and how much you're willing to spend. And that's also where the new and used factor comes in. The next thing that I think you should think about in this is whether you want to buy brand new or do you want to buy used? Because at a certain budget, the bike you can buy brand new and the bike that you can buy used is going to be very different. And I have a ton of videos on how to figure out if a used bike is good and other things like that, but I'll leave those links in the description down below so you can watch those videos if you do decide that you want to buy a used bike. And also, to play off of this new or used bike decision that we're talking about here, the budget comes back into play, because you can certainly get a much better bike that is used at a lower price than you can if you buy the exact same bike brand new, or a complete bike that is at that same level. But there are a ton of factors that play into the quality of a bike, and how long and how hard has it been ridden? How much has it just been sitting around? Is it rusty? Is it even that good? How good are all of the parts on it? The mixture of the parts. There's so many different things to consider here, and that is why you should definitely watch the videos that I mentioned were linked in the description down below. But once you figure out your budget and whether or not you want to buy a brand new or a used bike, next thing you need to do is figure out the size of the bike that you need, because there is definitely a correspondence between the height and the bike that you're going to buy, as well as what you planned to do with it. That's a considering factor that you want to make sure that you think about whenever you're picking out a complete BMX bike. And I do actually have a video dedicated to learning the size of the bike or frame that you need. And if you're just getting into BMX for the first time, this is a great video to watch to figure out what bike size you need, because likely you haven't figured out what you enjoy doing on the bike yet. And until you figure that out, you probably don't need to be getting different sizes that don't exactly correspond with your height. And I'll give you an example right now. Let's say you decide that you love spinning and doing crazy 360s and full cabs and tail whips and doing tricks like that, where a shorter wheelbase on your bike would help a lot, but you're 6 foot tall. This video would tell you that you need to have a bike that is 20.75 to 21, but with those types of tricks that you would enjoy doing, you might get a 20.5 and like it more because it spins easier or it tail whips easier and things like that. So there's definitely different factors to take into consideration depending even upon what you like doing on this bike. So let's keep this moving here. You've decided your budget. You decided whether or not you're going to buy brand new or used. You figured out the size that you need. Next thing you got to figure out is, well, where you're going to go to buy it, because there's different options depending upon where you go. And I would say going to a local bike shop is going to be the best option if you want support on this bike that you're about to buy. If you want to buy this bike and then you want to be able to take it somewhere if something goes wrong, they're likely going to take care of you more than if you buy it from a mail order or you buy it from the bike website or from the company's website directly, and especially if you buy it used. You're not going to have any support if you buy it used. From websites and mail orders, you have a certain level of support, but there's nothing that can match, being able to take this bike in here and say, hey, this is going on. I bought this here. Can you help me? And you'll also not have to build it if you buy it from a bike shop. But there are drawbacks to that as well, in that if you go to a local bike shop, depending upon how big they are and how much they deal with BMX, you might not be able to find the exact size bike that you want to get. And that is another thing you have to consider, because if you're buying from a mail order, they're likely going to have a bunch of different companies' bikes, and they're going to have all the different sizes, so that you just kind of go through and you pick, okay, I know I want this size and this price range. There's all these bikes that I can buy that fit that criteria. If you go to a bike company directly, they're going to have their whole complete bike lineup, which is likely going to give you, one option, maybe two in the different sizing ranges. And then when it comes to price, you're probably only going to have one option that is a certain size and a certain price from any given company. So there's a lot of things to consider in all of this, but if you narrow it down based on the different factors I'm talking about today, it can help you out in that process. So we know the budget. We know that we want to buy a brand new bike, and we have an idea of what size that we need. The next thing to think about if you're going to be buying this brand new bike is potentially just which company you might want to support in this, because there is no doubt that when it comes to complete BMX bikes, it is basically buying a very similar bike whenever you look at the same price point across all of the companies. There's some better value here and there, but for the most part, at a certain price level, most bikes from most companies are similar. So let's just assume, because I ride for Fit and S&M, that you want to take a look at buying a Fit bike. And I'll throw it in here since we're going to talk about it now. If you want to buy anything from Fit, whether it's a complete bike or you want to build a bike from S&M, or you want a combination of the two, you can save 10% and help me at the same time by using the code BRANT, all caps, whenever you check out. And I got a little hot there, had to lose the hoodie, but we're here looking at Fit's complete bike range, and you can see that there's different sizes and pricing options here as well. So we can see the street free coaster in large, as well as medium, street in large and medium, trail in 2XL, as well as XL. Then there's park medium, park extra small, and then when we go down, there's a lower price range here in different sizing options for these as well. So there's something for pretty much everyone sizing wise here, and I wanted to use these as an example, not only because I'm riding for Fit and representing them, but also because the different things these bikes are made for are literally in the name. Street, free coaster, trail, park. So we need to think about our budget, what size we need, as well as we're buying brand new, assuming this. So let's start with the budget. I'm just going to say $500 budget so that we can pick any bike on this website. You can choose accordingly, and this is just going to help you when you go to purchase wherever you do. Then the size that we need. Let's just say that we need a 20.5 inch bike. And we don't know what we're going to use it for or not yet, because we're brand new to BMX. But we know that the height that we are corresponds with 20.5. If we click on this street free coaster large and we go to it, it says 20.75 is its top tube. So immediately that kind of takes that one out, and we don't want to consider that one anymore because it doesn't correspond with the size that we need. Now there are instances where you might consider that, if, for example, you've been riding for a while and you're not brand new to BMX, you know what you like to do on your bike, and you know that your height says you should be riding a 20.5, but you like a longer bike and you want a 20.75 or above, then you'd consider something like that Street Free Coaster large, because you know what you like doing. And I would assume that if you're considering this bike, you know you like to grind, you know you like the 4-piece barred look, and you know that you like riding street type things. But for this example, we need the 20.5. Now let's go to the Street Free Coaster Medium. So this one is 20.5, and it's medium because 20.5 is right in the middle of the range. Small and extra small would be like 20-inch flat, which would be this Park Extra Small. It is 20-inch flat. You can see right here. And this one is made for park, but also it has that 20-inch flat top tube, which is good for people of certain heights. Maybe you don't like the look of this bike and you don't like the 4-piece handlebars, or you know that you don't plan on grinding at all. So what other options do we have here? Well, there's the Street Medium, but that one is just a cassette version of the same bike. We can go down, because we know medium is what we're looking for. We can also see that there's a Park Medium. So we pull the Park Medium up, and it is a 20.5 top tube. It has the same 12.6-inch rear end length, but this one, instead of coming with 4 pegs, it comes with brakes and a gyro setup. So maybe this is the option that you look for, and it's also less expensive. And in comparing the geometry of these two complete bikes, they're very, very similar. It's just one has that gyro and no pegs, and the other has 4 pegs and 4-piece bars. This one has 2-piece bars. So that's how you might go about looking at an entire lineup of complete bikes and narrowing it down whenever there's so much to look at and you're like, I'm not sure what to pick. It's how looking at budget and size, knowing you want to buy a brand new bike, as well as maybe have an idea of what you want to do with it. That's how you can take those different factors and look at a whole lineup of bikes and know that, oh, I'm not just buying this random bike and I end up with a 2XL trail bike that is 21.25 top tube with a really mellow head tube angle. It's got mellow forks. It's got longer cranks on it, a bigger sprocket. Everything about this bike is made for riding trails. And if you didn't know sizing wise what you needed, or what you had an idea of what you might want, you might buy this bike and be like, oh no, this feels completely wrong. It feels like it's too much bike to handle. And so hopefully a video like this one can show you the different factors that you need to consider. And then whenever it comes to buying a bike from a mail order, you're going to have all of these options plus all of the options from every single other company to look down and refine. And you can narrow it down to, okay, I need that 20.5. These different bikes from these different companies at these price ranges have exactly that. And I can pick what I like from there. And with all that being said, there's a couple more tips to give that I feel could come in handy when buying a complete BMX bike. And the overarching theme of all of these is to just do whatever it takes to not have to buy things twice unnecessarily. And what I mean by that is, buying something that you either don't like or doesn't fit you or breaks, and then having to buy it a second time because of that. So there's a couple ways that I feel you could help yourself not do that. And one of those is to just save up a little bit more money. I feel it's always a good idea to save up more and buy a better bike, because it's going to be that much better and hopefully should last you that much longer. And then in the same tune, the knowledge side of that is to just do that much more research. It is always a good idea to do more research and ask more people questions and visit your local bike shop and even the skate park that's nearby and ask the people riding bikes there about things, to just educate you that much more so you can make an educated decision and not buy something unknowingly that doesn't fit you or you don't end up liking or ends up breaking and then having to buy things twice. So I hope this video helps you have a game plan and be more educated in purchasing a complete BMX bike. And if you want to learn more, I've got playlists on the screen right now that have a ton of other videos that teach you everything you need to know when buying a bike. I hope this helped you, and I hope that we'll see you tomorrow for another video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.